never waste my time. You are I want.
And welcome to the Everyday Icons podcast with your host, me, Graham Locke, where I get to know the people behind these success stories. My guest icon today is a businesswoman and serial entrepreneur. It is the one and only Kelly Marie Hodgkin. Kelly, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So you have a growing business empire here in Dubai and perhaps even globally. We can touch on some of that. But just to help people watching or listening to you for the first time, can you give a brief summary of the businesses that you're involved in?
So I am a business mentor. So I help inspire aspiring entrepreneurs start businesses, or if they're a bit stuck, kind of, get their business to where it needs to be. I have a gym clothing brand. I have a modelling and events company. And I have my KMH Events brand, which is kind of the umbrella of all the other brands. We do business retreats, networking events, women empowerment events. I've just created a new event called Bling Bingo, which is a nightlife event. And Dubai Hostesses, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you have a lot going on.
And 4 kids.
Right, okay. So this didn't all just fall out the sky, clearly.
No.
So what we like to do at Everyday Icons is get to know the person and how and the why this all happened, and the fascinating journey that you've had from start to finish. So tell me a bit about your childhood and growing up and how that affected you. And perhaps, I think one of the common themes that I found speaking to entrepreneurs is that there's something in their childhood that they carry with them almost, that drives them, or is the fire in the belly, and it's quite a common theme.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about your upbringing and how that's helped shape the person you are today.
I think my pain to power story would be I was adopted at a very young age, from the age of 3, me and my 2 sisters. We were given away, we were fostered for a couple of years, and then finally adopted by an amazing family in the UK. And I think the rejection side of things, growing up with that trauma, has kind of pushed me almost to want to become successful, to never want to struggle like I did when I was younger. It was only recently, about 5-6 years ago, I decided to heal from the trauma, because my entire life I've been fine, but deep down I probably wasn't. So actually healing from that trauma 5-6 years ago has actually propelled me into being a lot more successful than I was. So yeah, I'd say that's the pain to power.
Interesting. How did you describe the word heal? How did you heal? How did you? What was that process for you?
Talking about what happened, going through all the different traumas that you carry with you as a child, and just healing from it, like therapy, counselling, hypnosis, things like that.
Okay. So you grew up in the UK. You ended up in Glasgow, you just told me earlier,
yeah.
Which is a big move from Essex to Glasgow as well. But obviously the bigger move was going from there to Dubai.
Yeah.
So what prompted that for you? Was there a moment where you thought, I just need to change things, or where did that come from?
So I worked for Optical Express. I left school when I was 16, started selling windows in Chelmsford. And then I started my career in optics. So I worked for Optical Express for 8 years in the UK, in Essex, London, and then they moved me to Scotland to take over some stores that weren't doing too well, to turn them around to high performing stores. And then it was one day, the guy that owned my penthouse in Glasgow, he was moving to Dubai to set up a real estate company, and he was looking for a PA. And at the time I was single, like I said, been in the same company for 8 years, kind of just fancied a change. So sold everything and off I went.
And did you ever feel, even growing up or in those early years in Glasgow when you started working, that there was something else there that you needed to unlock? Did you feel that 9 to 5 isn't for me? Because most entrepreneurs, their worst nightmare is having a 9 to 5 job doing the same thing every day. Did you ever feel there was something missing from your life?
I mean, I think, obviously leaving school at 16, selling straight away. I mean, I was too young to work, so I was getting paid under the counter. And then going into optics, I started off as a Saturday girl, then moved up to full-time, then assistant manager, then store manager, then regional manager. So I always had that fire and that want for more. It was always there. Honestly, from the age of, I'd say 16, I've always wanted to do more, to be more. And even now, there's no part of me that wants to slow down, there's always something else that I could do. So yeah, it's been with me throughout my life.
So do you think entrepreneurism is something that is a gene, almost like a singer's given a voice,
Yeah.
or a footballer's given legs to
I
play
love this
football?
question because I really feel like not everyone can be an entrepreneur. It's definitely something that's inside of you that pushes you and drives you. You can learn business, you can learn how to run a business, but that fire and that like passion for hustling is something else.
So if you met 100 people that said, Kelly, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to be like you, how long would it take you if you spoke to them to realise they've got that thing or not? Or what is the characteristic that you'd look for and go, yeah, you've got that?
It's that passion. You have to have passion, patience, perseverance. Like, you have to really want it. So many people want this amazing life, but no one actually wants to do the work, and it is hard work. So you probably give me like 20 minutes speaking to somebody, I'll know if you're cut out for it or not.
You work them out straight away.
Yeah.
Okay, we're about 10 minutes in, so you've got another 10 minutes on me. So you moved to Dubai. How did you start? Did you start work immediately, or how did that all sort of pan out for you? You hit the ground running, I guess.
But it didn't actually pan out that way.
Okay.
So moved over, and the guy was, when you start in new businesses in Dubai, it can be a little bit, not go to plan. So we actually moved, and then he was like, oh, I'm going to need another month. Can you go back? And then when it's like things are taking a bit longer, and when it's ready, you can come back out. No was my answer, because I'd sold everything. I was here now. So I had to give myself a month to find a new job. Because going back was just not an option. So that's what I did.
So you were all in?
I was all in,
when
yeah.
you came. And what was your first business venture in Dubai when you did something all by yourself?
So the job that I got when I had to find a job was to set up a modelling and events agency for someone else. So I did that for a year, and then I set up my own one.
Okay. So was there a moment when I assume that's a successful business and it's
still going
today, right? Yeah. So was there a moment when you, in your Dubai career, where you felt, I'm going to make it? Was there a moment where that happened, or did it just happen over time for you?
I think it was a process for sure. I think, maybe a few years ago I could sit back and be like, and actually start enjoying, the money I was making and, the lifestyle that I've created. But I think definitely a process. Wasn't something that happens overnight. It took a good, I'd say 10 years to get kind of where I was comfortable and where I wanted to be.
Because a lot of business people, they start off with one business and they stick to that one business because it's successful, it makes enough money, and they enjoy their life.
Yeah.
Where does the capacity to come from? Then go, right, that's that business.
Yeah.
And I like it, and you're not in it every minute of the day.
Yeah.
Is that a skill to say, well, actually, I've got another idea now, and I've got another idea now? How did you cope with that capacity? How do you cope with
sure
even
it's a
today?
Skill or stupidity, to be honest. But no, I love getting something up and running and then trying something else. And I think, as an entrepreneur, I think multiple streams of income is the way forward. And I just always love being busy and trying new things. I think I'd be quite bored if I was just doing the same thing every day.
And obviously you face challenges in business. I guess every day there's a challenge, but there's also the bigger challenges that come along, like COVID.
Yeah.
How did you navigate through that? Did it have a big impact on what you were doing?
I mean, like I said, I think when you have multiple streams and different businesses, there's always one that's going to be affected. No one wanted hostesses during COVID. No one was going out. So I think the hostess and events kind of that died a death during COVID. But then all the other little things that we were doing were still okay. And my husband was very lucky that he developed the online shopping platforms for Spinneys and Waitrose and Choitrums. So during COVID, we were the busiest we ever were. Like, all hands on deck. We had to create online supermarkets like in 2 weeks so they were able to sell. So we were so busy. We were employing people left, right and centre, and COVID for us was really good.
And just a sort of more pinpointed questions for you. How would you define success in your career?
I think success for me is being able to provide for my family, being able to, do amazing things and make memories with them and just be comfortable. And I think the freedom that comes with being successful and making money, I think for me that's success.
So you've got 4 children, 3 boys, 1 girl, if I've
Yeah.
done my research correctly.
Yeah.
And you got your husband as well. So how do you find that switch from entrepreneur to mum, for example? Is that something you can control quite quickly and go from one to the other, or does it take you some time to wind down?
I get asked this a lot, like, how do you do it all? You know, how do you fit it in being a mum? But I'm just really good at planning. Like, I prioritize my day. You know, from the minute I wake up till say 3 o'clock is you know, it's business, and then from 3 o'clock onwards, I'm in mum mode. So quite an easy transition. I do it. I think I do it really well. The balance, kind of mum business life. I think I've got it down pat, to be honest.
Fantastic. And what sort of values and principles do you live your life by?
Honestly, the biggest one for me is kindness. I think there's just not enough of it in the world. I think moving to Dubai, it's going to be quite savage out there. And I just think kindness, and everyone's going through something that you probably know nothing about. And manners, for me, manners is huge.
Yeah. And how do you deal with people, I know they call them trolls these days, I guess, online, or people that are not very nice to you personally or professionally? How do you deal with that? Have you got just a very hard cut off once you know someone's wronged you, that's it? Or do
Yeah.
you give second chances? How do you deal with that?
I mean, 5-6 years ago, if you'd asked me that, I was super sensitive to everything that, you know, was thrown at me. But my husband's taught me a lot about, you know, if you can't control something, and not giving a shit basically what anyone else thinks. So, you know, the trolls that I get now, I get a lot of comments like on Instagram and stuff like that. Honestly, you're adding to my algorithms, so carry on. Like, it doesn't affect me anymore. And then, like, professionally and like bullying and stuff, I mean, you just got to take it on the chin. It's part of the parcel.
Yeah. Is there anything about you, a characteristic that people may misunderstand about you? Do you feel that anyone misunderstands?
I don't think I'm very misunderstood. I think I wear my heart on my sleeve. I think what you see is what you get. I think the biggest kind of misconception would be probably looking at my Instagram. You know, people have like a certain misconception of maybe how I am, but I think I'm actually really down to earth and very normal.
Yeah. And do you have a sort of close circle of friends personally that you hang around with, and are they similar to you, or have you got friends all in all different walks of life?
All different. I think I've had the same kind of group of friends for 10-15 years now. They're very small. I think I've learnt very quickly that in Dubai, not everyone's your friend, and yeah, you can count them on one hand. It's probably safer that way.
And I've been here 2.5 years, children in school, two young children, and I found it quite they've found it quite challenging, I think, being around the wealth that's in the region,
Yeah.
which is different to where we come from.
Yeah.
And trying to keep them grounded for me is quite an everyday battle. And I imagine you have that same thing, because obviously your children are surrounded by nice things, you have a nice house, nice lifestyle. What do you do to keep their feet on the ground?
I mean, me and my husband are very, you know, my husband's from London. I'm obviously from Essex. We're very open and honest with them. And, you know, they know about kind of where we've come from and our upbringings. And we do try and install it into them that, you know, money doesn't grow on trees, which they sometimes think it does. But it is hard, but you just have to just be honest and open. And I think the more honest and open you are when it comes to money, talking about it, and we try and get them involved in a lot of different charity stuff. Like I took my kids to Africa recently to do some work in a school, and you know, every Christmas they clear out their stuff and they give it to, you know, less fortunate. So they love doing things like that, and it's really nice to see. But yeah, you have to kind of, it's a tricky one, especially in Dubai.
Yeah, for sure. And mental health is a really sort of good topic nowadays, and it's something, and I was born in the 70s, we didn't talk about it when I was younger. We do talk about it now, and I think men have got better at it over the last few years. I think more awareness about it. How's your mental health in general, running all those businesses and the family and the lifestyle and everything else? How do you keep that on side?
I think exercise I do for my mental health. I have to train every day. It's non-negotiable. Gives me that hour just to myself, and just keeping it real and keeping grounded and speaking to people. And like I said, I'm very open and honest about things. And if things do get a bit much and I need to take some time out, then I do. But I'm pretty chilled and pretty relaxed. I don't try to let things kind of get on top of me too much. And worry about the small things. Yeah.
And do you have a perfect start and end to a day that you try to keep as a routine as well? Apart from the gym in the mornings, anything else that you would do?
Gym in the morning, definitely, and lots of sleep at the night. I mean, I probably go to bed about 8:30 at most nights.
So
So
you get
I
your
get
sleep
a
in.
minimum of 8 to 10 hours. That's the perfect end to the day.
What time's the alarm go off for you?
5:36.
Okay,
Yeah, it's not too bad.
not too bad. If you can go back in time, all that you've been through, all that you know, what advice would you give your younger self?
Probably not to give a shit what people think. I think that's probably, if I could be 20 years younger and not care, I think I would have got a lot further, a lot faster. But I think, my focus on what people thought was too big. And I would love to teach anyone that's 20 years, 30 years younger, just not to care. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and with your mentorship program that you have, is that something you try to instill in these younger entrepreneurs that are coming through?
There's so many different things we cover. There's so many. That's probably not the biggest thing, but just to have tough skin and just to really want it is huge. But there's so many things I cover as a business mentor.
If you was to get involved in another business, do you have capacity just to keep going now, or once you've set them up, that they look after themselves, so
Yeah,
you've got
pretty
the
much.
ability to keep going?
Yeah, I do like to invest in other brands and things that I'm really passionate about. So if someone came to me with a business idea or a company that needed an investor, then if it's something that I'm really passionate about and I'm excited about and I love, then I'll get involved. There's
Okay.
always time for more businesses.
Yes, absolutely. And finally, last question for you. When it's all finished, what would you like to be remembered for? What would you like people to remember you for?
I think for being kind, just being a kind, hardworking, loyal person.
Okay, nice note to end on. Kelly, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for
I
having
really
me.
appreciate your time. Thanks for watching, everybody, and thanks for listening. Remember to subscribe to our podcast if you would like to see more icons coming soon. Thank you.